Lies of P is a Disney remake of Pinocchio where you play as a twink. But as a Christian YouTuber, I don't want to go to hell talking too much about how I pay my bills.
Room service!
But you know what is hell? Trying to find a Souls-like game that gets you hard. To summarize what a Souls-like is, you dodge, you die a lot, you break boxes or books in this case, and it seems you always have a waifu that takes care of you, seems they know their audience.
I'm so happy to see you.
So why am I talking about Lies of P? Well, I have a raging hard-on for parry games. What is a parry? That is when you block an attack with your sword. Now, I had planned to finally play Lies of P once its DLC came out later this summer, then it shadow dropped, so I panicked, stopped everything I was doing because I have a raging hard-on for parry games, in case you already forgot. I just got obliterated trying to parry one attack, couldn't even parry one attack. I suck. So I want to make this short video gushing about it because Lies of P is exactly what I wanted after From Software made Sekiro. Sekiro was a game from 2019 that brought skill-based parry gameplay for a single-player game to the mainstream. From Software is the studio that created Sekiro and a few other well-crafted games in the genre they literally invented. It is no secret that I found Elden Ring lacking in a lot of aspects, but I want to add another to what I already mentioned in the first 10 minutes of my 2-hour video that wasn't even about Elden Ring. Is this what people meant when they said it was the easiest game From Software ever made? I thought it was the magic and sums, not the entire It didn't have parry when their last game Sekiro did, just a simple change which proved that dodging is stale if it's the only option. What I mean by this is the window of time dodging allows to negate any attack offers no real dopamine hit, because it's too easy, it's too safe, or as my Disney princess Rapunzel would say,
He had to stay tough and dare to risk it all.
Hence why parry is the current hot new dopamine trend that even Doom knew given its recent game. Lies of P is a Souls-like made by Round 8 and published by NeoWiz in 2023 that had the idea that what if we gave you the option to parry and it felt great. Now Lies of P does allow the option to not parry if you want and play the game in easy mode, not the new options at the start menu, but by dodging only. Here's an example: every fight is 10 times easier if you dodge all the attacks. This is fine, but who plays a combat game to not be challenged? Go play an easy game then. Sure, you die 20 times instead of the usual 2 to 3, but unlike dodging, you have to risk it all.
Things were getting rough, but he answered the call.
But when you are a drug addict for challenge, this is the only way you have to play it. Why would you want to parry though? Well, beyond making you rock hard, if you parry enough times, enemies and bosses will stagger, allowing you to do massive damage and reward you for your risk. Another layer of dopamine is that if they have a weapon and you parry enough, you can break their weapon, and let me tell you, when that happens, that right there is called the gamer G spot. Wowie wowie. That's like Now the beauty of this game is you can play all dodge, all parry, or anywhere on the spectrum. This is where I lie on the spectrum. You might be asking if you somehow haven't played Lies of P or didn't use the parry because it was too much for your fragile gamer hands to handle. Why is parry so important? Because I would say without it, Lies of P combat would not have been so great. But let's move on to the next reason Lies of P is so fucking good. Souls-likes are known for its progression through a beautiful world full of mystery, shiny pieces of candy to pick up, and enemies that want to kill you. But if you're like me, I do not play them for their stories at all. As seen here by all the Souls-like adjacent games I've played, these are the only ones that I had stories that I personally enjoyed. Lies of PP is another one solely because I actually can follow along without reading items or looking at videos about what the hell is going on. I know people are praising its wonderful world, unique weapon crafting where you can swap weapon parts out that I honestly didn't even use once. It has this great quality of life to questing where you don't need to follow a guide to figure out what to do or where to go. When you run out of healing, you can gain one back for clutch moments by being aggressive. All of that is truly amazing, but you know what is slightly above average? The fact that Lies of P story didn't suck. I know people's names because they focus on just a few of them. Some of them are even furries. We won't get into that. For this video, it doesn't count. You have a guy that just wanted to f a puppet that wants to f a human. All this is to say I liked the world of Lies of P. The setting looks beautiful. It all seems interconnected. It feels like the world was designed by the people who made the first half of Dark Souls 1. The music you can collect is French. You make choices that are timed, that adds tension and forces you to pay attention and somehow still fuck up this riddle because I'm literally retarded.
That is clever.
The story isn't some cryptic Shakespearean dialogue that you skip past because it bores you to death. It only sometimes bores you to death. Lies of P is somehow better than the actual Pinocchio remake made by Disney.
Father, when can I leave to be on my own? You are too special, Pinocchio.
Lies of P feels like a world that is lived and not hinted at, not just quest collectors or item dispensers, but people who have goals and it's easy to follow along what they want and why. Like these furries wanting some gold fruit that can cure you of diseases. But will you forgive them and help them, or will you just kill them? Now, Lies of P is not some amazing story, but I just want more Souls-like to at least attempt to tell a story that has a character that you can root for, not a nameless knight.
Penitent one.
It takes the theme of lying that Pinocchio was famous for, makes it a core aspect of the story, and it doesn't feel tacked on. The summary of the story is you get awoken by your waifu, and your main goal besides her is to find your dad Geppetto and become a real boy. Geppetto is the creator of these puppets that went haywire, and you eventually find out later that he started it because Geppetto is basically Wesker from Resident Evil. When you kill these puppets and other creatures, you gain Ergo, which is human liquid. Don't make it creepy. They touched your boobs. There's also a disease that can turn humans into zombies, but worse, turn puppets into deadlier enemies with tentacles. Even worse, there was a guy that jerked off way too much, Simon Manus. He wanted to collect all the human juice, thinking it would make him God, but all we got was an epic fight and cutscene. Dun dun dun, dun 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 dun. Oh, baby! You then find out that your dad just wanted his dead son Carlo back, despite literally leaving Carlo to die in the first place because he was busy buying milk or something.
Was I a trustworthy father to you?
So how do you become a real boy? By lying. Something I do all the time. Like the fact that I am not a twink. I am sorry for clickbaiting you with that thumbnail and letting gay people down during Pride Month.
Is this a practical joke? Oh, never mind.
Also, the true ending of the game confirms you are not a twink, but a simp for Sophia, your waifu, and you die to keep her alive.
It's so good to see you.
You know what gets me harder besides your mom? Bosses in video games. I love them so much. That's why I created a series that focuses on masochistic games that include Souls like Metroidvanias and the underrated boss rush genre. This is the second official video in this series, more on that later. Lies of P has bosses that I didn't expect to make me pucker my asshole. Oh, I was so close that time, dude. Oh my god, dude, so close. Oh man, there's times where it's like, I suck. Anyone else separate bosses into different categories, like cutscene bosses, you know, those that before you fight them, you get an intro to set them up and usually hype you up as you know it's going to be an epic fight.
Humanity must be born again.
Okay, dude, okay. Then you have mini bosses that don't have a cutscene and you just stumble upon them in the world that are usually not as much of a spectacle fight with less movesets and therefore usually less challenging. There are also intro bosses which get a pass for being boring and easy to allow casuals to get used to the game and not refund it. There we go, bitch. Your sword's been immobilized. There are repeated bosses which nobody likes, and then you have DLC bosses that I will get into in that section. But I use this clear distinction as a major factor in how much I enjoy bosses. If you are a cutscene boss and your fight offers no challenge, and it felt like a mini boss, I'm thoroughly disappointed with said boss. Thankfully, there was only one, King Flame, the fire boss. His moveset is just swing a giant hammer around and charge so slow, it feels like you're in slow motion. His fight didn't feel any different than most of the mini bosses you fight in the game. I did like that the second phase he starts squirting oil and shoots fireballs, but it wasn't even the best boss with this oil and fire design that I played this year. What the fuck? What the fuck was that? I was like, oh, okay. If you have a mini boss that feels or resembles a cannon fodder enemy, I hate that so fucking much. Hence why one of my least favorite games of all time is Remnant of the Ashes, as not a single boss in that game was worth a damn. Boss design, the combat, the upgrades,
The getting lost,
the
progression, the gameplay.
Thankfully, Lies of P is the opposite of that game, but it does have what I call an ankle boss, which are consistently my least favorite fights in every game that has one, and I wish developers would stop putting them in games. Here, the boss is called the Puppet of the Future, more like Puppet of Bad Boss Design. And guess what? You find two more later in a swamp. They have to be trolling us at this point. But what if you have a mini boss that feels like a cutscene boss? I become very impressed, which is what the Walkers of Illusion mini boss was, as it felt like I was playing Sekiro with the amount of parrying required. Dude, your weapon will not break. Is it unbreakable? Like, I parried more than any other boss ever. Also, I love the clown boss. Parrying his wind-up punch felt so fucking good. But then you have the cream of the crop. If you have enough bosses that hit that gamer G spot, you might go up and belong with the all-time greats of boss design. The bosses that hit the gamer G spot were a Scrap Watchman, where the parry finally clicked, and since you already heard that gamer G spot sound, here's me getting grabbed a lot. The fucking grab, dude. No! Then you have the King of Puppets that moves like a monkey on crack that fakes you out thinking that was way too easy because it only took 3 attempts. You then find out that was just phase 1 and then the real fight starts. No, I almost first tried you, bro. I almost fucking first tried. I do know there are people that complained about this game having too many bring the HP down to 0, beat the boss, only to reveal a second phase. I think this is the only good time I could ever say, you just need to get good. Don't worry, it took me an additional 18 attempts to beat this boss. I never said I was good at the game. That right there is what I call the Thing, the only monster type boss you fight in the base game. It's slimy and has tentacles and will body slam you. Now, why do I call it the Thing? Because instead of using the electric pizza cutter that had good range and was great for robots, well, at least I was able to survive more than like 10 seconds that time. But a biological monster's weakness is always fire and also a trident that can do critical hits. After 8 tries, it fell and then violated the corpse of the Scrap Watchman earlier to basically reuse a boss, but it's just different enough with the tentacles. During the 17 additional attempts to finally beat the Tentacle Watchman, I had plenty of time to master the Thing's charge attack. I enjoyed this 2-for-1 boss fight, but reusing a boss will always dock a point from my point of view.
Few crusty bitches and a handful of ragtags.
Then you have the Black Brotherhood that I won't talk much about the story reasons why we fight them twice, but it was such a great cutscene to introduce them that kind of reminded me of Gangs of New York with Daniel Day-Lewis, an amazing movie.
By the ancient laws of combat, we have met at this chosen ground.
You ain't seen nothing like my brother.
When you fight them, it was a huge disappointment though that it's a fake gang fight and they just sit back and wait their turn.
Shall we have at it then? All right, would you like to take a few moments to get ready?
I usually expect a gank fight to deliver on the tension of managing multiple enemies that'll make you rage. So this is how the first fight should have went. You guys didn't. This is an actual gank fight now. Maybe the developers waited for the real gank fight much later because it's a lot harder solely because all 3 will fight each of you with a different elemental effect whose sole purpose is to drain you of your healing. This fight was hard just trying to get to the real fight, their resurrected brother, which spawns from this coffin once you get down to 1 member.
Surprise, motherfucker.
What the fuck, dude? Oh, no, 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 no. Oh my god. Here's a pro tip. Get 2 of them down to being almost dead, then kill them both in rapid succession. So it then becomes a 1v1 a lot sooner, makes the fight easier for you, so maybe you can beat the real gang fight with less attempts than it took me. Oh, I hate gank fights. They're so hard, but I beat it. You then have a trio of bosses that close the base game out back to back. First, you have Mummy Mommy, who looks like gender swap Dead Space. Her first phase was neat with these delayed flurry of swings that were super easy to master. She even copies the vacuum effect stabby sword move that others have done in the past decade.
The arm of God will awaken soon. Just a flesh wound.
But when you bring the HP to 0, you guessed it, you get that phase 2, and I love what this reveals. The introduction of projectiles that I wish were more in the game, because one of the only complaints of a lot of parry games is they focus on swords and melee and therefore don't feature a lot of magic abilities, which allows for some really cool spectacle fights. I sure hope they do that in future games. Then you have Jerky Man Manus, whose first phase was a complete joke, and super glad he also had a phase 2 that takes his phase 1 attacks and makes them hit harder, swing faster, and adds some of that magic I desperately wanted. He also has projectiles that you can parry, but there is no benefit in actually doing so other than to show off. They don't do a ton of damage, but they do have an insta-kill status effect that I was confused about how I died while I was playing. What the f- Oh, okay. I guess I should have tested its effect in a safer environment like these operatic spiders from earlier. Manus was a boss that felt like I was fighting God freed from Eldering, but if you could parry his moveset. I also thought he was the final boss, given he was the forgettable villain that I honestly didn't even talk about because I really wasn't paying attention to any of his ramblings because I was just admiring my top hat that was better than his.
I've known your father for a...
I can't really see his top hat. Is mine bigger than his? Which brings us to the final boss of the base game, which is Scissoring because of his weapon. One thing I will say is that so far it seems that phase 1 of the game are mostly just pushovers. I also first tried it and would have been super pissed if it also didn't have a phase 2. He goes mildly Super Saiyan and finally does some fancy moves that took a while to get used to the speed change compared to all the other bosses. The most satisfying gamer G-spot is getting this parry off. Overall, I was really impressed with how many of the bosses had great animations and readability and variety, given this was the first Souls like this team has ever made. And thankfully, I didn't have to wait 2 years like most of you to find out if they could further perfect it. So for the base game, here are the boss rankings and their attempts. If you have any further questions about this, feel free to ask me. I fucking broke your weapon! I fucking broke it, brother! Get fucked, dude! Obviously, it's irrelevant in phase 1 because you're gonna use blood magic. So about that DLC, I really loved it, even more than the base game. It's probably the best expansion of a Souls-like game. It's not without its issues though. The biggest one is the camera. Dude, could you like camera, dude, fucking camera, dude. I don't know how this wasn't an issue with the base game. Maybe the bosses didn't spaz out as much. Maybe the arenas weren't as cramped or they didn't constantly push you back. Dude, the fucking camera, man. That's my only real complaint because the rest I fucking love. You get a few new melee weapons that are really creative with how they look and their attack moves. I eventually replaced my crit trident with a crit claw. They even added the first and only ranged weapon, the bow, that if you time the heavy attack with the glow, you do extra damage. It's good for clearing out cannon fodder enemies, but for bigger enemies, you can use the really long wind-up weapon art for solo targets, or use the other multi-spray to kind of kill multiple enemies. But using it as a main weapon isn't engaging enough compared to melee because it feels like bringing a gun to a knife fight. So I shelved it after testing it out on a few enemies, but there was one final use for the bow. Oh my god, dude, there's that fucking monkey throwing poop at me that entire time fighting that kangaroo, man. Getting rid of this poop-flinging zombie monkey you can't reach. I said the story in the base game was alright, nothing that really made me want to spend way too much time and delay this video coming out to try and explain in greater detail. In the DLC, you go back in time because you died at the end. If you remember, in the base game, you fought the King of Puppets here, which inside was Romeo. He was your best friend when you were the human Carlo. They flesh out this woman who was just a throwaway person at the end of the game.
I'm sorry. I was too late.
They reintroduce her here with the intensity of the music and the voice actress to really get me hyped up and curious.
Bastard. I'll kill him.
Oh man, what the hell's going on, dude? I'm intrigued. Leia is a badass stalker and was you and Romeo's surrogate mother because, you know, Geppetto wasn't really a good father.
It seems you inherited his personality instead of his memories.
Despite knowing the outcome, that Romeo becomes a puppet that you eventually fight, meaning you know the outcome, but Leia doesn't. Throughout the game, you get flashbacks as you follow her footsteps, not knowing what has happened to her, as she literally tells you she was probably dead or will die, and so you don't know if you're ever going to actually get to meet her.
I'm coming, Romeo. I swear I won't be late. Not again. Not like I was with Carlo.
You get to meet NPCs along the way that help build the hype and the mystique around this legendary stalker.
In fact, your fighting style reminds me of someone.
We were rivals once. In the end, she showed true compassion.
That so-called legend, Leia Florence, evaded my scheme. But you know where she is.
They built up Leia and her character just enough that when you do finally meet her, there is relief that she is alive.
Who are you?
Now, why is it great that she is alive? She joins you at the end and you go on a jolly fun ride with your fake girlfriend, seeing her legendary status at play.
Meet your end. No, I have no intention of stopping. Not here.
Although I'm still better, as I ended up killing my polar bear zombie before she did. Kill my bear before you did. I'm still better. I'm better than the legendary stalker, huh? But towards the end, as you climb up the snowy road to a mansion that is beautiful, what's inside is not. When playing the game, I was utterly speechless. I was so engaged in the story of a goddamn Souls-like game.
Not you. Not like this. Why does this keep happening? Is it me? Is it my fault? Romeo. You never should have had to suffer this. Not you.
This walk through the mansion with somber music, seeing this massacre in said mansion lets me contemplate if I should break the one rule I have with Souls-like games. Wait, am I gonna fight the boss with you? I wanna, but I don't. It's like, for story reasons, it'd be cool just to see what happens, but then also for challenge reasons, I don't want to. What I look for with a DLC when it comes to masochistic games is rather simple. I want every boss to be ball-bustingly hard. In order for a game to sell well, I know you have to make your game easy so your mom can buy the game and play it. I'm assuming that's why Elden Ring sold so well, but with DLC, only the hardest of gamers who love pain will get it, and so they can start the challenge where the base game left off and not care about appeasing casuals. Dude! No! Come on, man! I just get to your face and I just like, oh yeah, I forgot. He just spazzes out and kills you. You start the DLC in a zoo that has so many horrific animals to fight with this elephant, scaring me because of this. What the fuck? What the fuck? After you get Indiana Jones, you come across a frozen lake and get surprised yet again by the world's largest alligator, who was only hard because of the camera. Just make sure to finally use dodge though so you don't get eaten up. You then go through a garden that has a great vista, and I'm not talking about this sex robot's legs. So they're going the atomic heart route, and they're like, let's make sexy robots. What I'm talking about is this cutscene to intro one of the best duo fights in all of gaming. It has nothing to do with how sexy she is. I seem to have a thing for women of color, whether it be green or blue.
So who is this handsome guest standing before me?
Who is this handsome gal standing before me? I couldn't even understand why people in the Wicked movie thought Elphaba was hideous. Are you mad? She's hot.
I'm the other daughter.
Back to the game. One of the biggest issues with gang fights in a 3D Souls-like is you can't see and therefore not know when the others are going to attack you. This never feels fun, so when Blueberry Mommy here is attacking you, her puppet will telegraph when she's going to attack with the strings attached to her atomic heart wannabe lesbian lover. You see the string trigger red, you're probably going to be dead. Your goal, like with all bosses, is to slay them, so no matter how badly you want to fix her, you can't. She will fix her robot though if you choose to focus on it. She will get mad if you do that, and the string will turn green to let you know she's healing her totally not a dildo. You don't think with the glove that can do this that anyone would not at least try to find a way to use that for their own pleasure?
But a puppet a human, now you have my attention.
So with the flying sex robot down, this allows some one-on-one time to ask Blueberry out and then get shut down time and time and time again. If you really piss Mommy off, her puppet will glow, and in no way does that mean it's going to blow up. This fight was really hard because it was the first boss that I had to play one-handed. My only gripe was her super cinematic move wasn't stepping on you with those legs, but this move.
Can't get away quick enough, can you? Need a fine adornment for my room.
Well,
The sad thing after fighting her is you stumble upon a carnival, which would have been a perfect place to take her on a date. You have games to play like Pop the Balloons, watch a show to learn some sick moves that you could have used to impress her. So now you have to ride the carousel alone, and I wish you could have at least talked it out.
It should have been the two of us.
But at least she wasn't around to see you run out of items to win in this carnival game. I said win the goddamn carnival game. Got them all, baby! Fuck yeah! Now, this carnival, along with the many new locations like a frost-ridden prison with this cow prodder enemy, a sunken boat with artillery that will fire at you while you try to travel across the ice, all of them are packed with so much detail, atmosphere, and new enemies that I don't want to spoil them all. But I will briefly spoil some of the NPCs you'll meet along your journey that won't offer much in terms of its gameplay rewards, but will find different ways to make you feel.
No matter where I end up, I'll remember you. The friend who helped free Rizora.
You have this cute little girl puppet that just wants what she calls a forever friend and gives you parts of a drawing each time you meet up with her, that when you eventually finish her quest and piece it all together, it'll make you feel sad.
So happy to see you again. Friends always meet again.
Then you have this old blind artist that you can lie and say her painting is amazing despite it being blank. Your reward for this kind action is her beautiful painting that you can eventually hang up in your home base that'll make you feel good about yourself. Then you have this nearly dead fisherman that just wants a beer for capturing this fish.
Time to celebrate my triumph with the beer I saved for this day.
Then it turns out all he wanted was to drink it with his wife. And you can become a detective and solve mysteries around the world. Like in this lighthouse, you have to go to this pad and use your big boy brain that it's a pressure plate and make yourself heavy using this amulet you found earlier to open a secret door to learn that this guy was trapped in here from stealing money from sailors, so crime doesn't pay. Then you have Veronica, a friend of Leia who went insane.
My mind is unraveling. It burns! My mind's ablaze!
She is a mini-boss and kinda similar, but better than the lesser lamplighter from the base game solely because of her fashion, and her movesets are just crazier. I mean, look at these moves. Don't you want to be able to do that when you get her weapon after defeating her?
No one leaves this laboratory for the sake of craft.
I really wanted that weapon to win, was also disappointed to find out you can't get it, but at least you can get her badass armor. And I just want to say this, I am so glad that your defense stats aren't tied to your fashion, so I can swap out whatever I want whenever I find something dope.
I die as I lived, without regret.
Lies of P sadly doesn't have any dragons, and as a dragon enjoyer, I would be lying if I wasn't disappointed, because Parry in this alligator's mouth earlier felt kind of crazy. It makes no sense logically how that's even possible, but the closest we're ever going to get to a dragon is whatever the hell this giant boss is. No, it's an ankle fighter boss, no! That fear of being a basic bitch ankle boss was quickly quelled, not because you can't lock onto his ankle, more his hand and face. So is he a hand boss? I mean, his phase 2 transition sure had a lot of hands. But anyways, this thing is a good ankle boss fight. I know, I'm also shocked. It was so rewarding to parry the game's biggest body slam, to learning that you can't parry lasers, and his trident is multi-purpose in the many ways it can try to kill you. I don't even know why we end up fighting this dude, but all I know is his kill animation is pretty fucking epic. Not a bad boss. I thought it was going to be a boring ankle fight. Great fight. I need to preface this final section, so bear with me.
You see, I abhor violence. We are not savages, my good fellow.
The next 3 bosses, if they were in any other game, I would honestly most likely hate them. I say this because the Overseer, Astarian, and the final boss all have long combos. Dude, how many combos do you got, brother? I thought, dude, my freaking durability died what? Now, those of us who enjoy Souls-likes know that the combat on our end is very basic. You light attack, you heavy attack, you charge attack, and you dodge. There are maybe some extras that spice it up sometimes, like weapon arts, items, and maybe some sort of a gimmick. The main thing to add variety is to have bosses' combos become longer. One of the joys of a Souls-like is the complexity and variety of the movesets from enemies and bosses, and learning and reacting to them. So when you have combos that go on for long stretches, but all you can do is dodge, that downtime is boring. It's one of the major reasons I quit Elden Ring. I was bored. So when you can parry, what would have been all boring dodges are now an offensive move, adding to a stagger to do massive damage, and when you can parry enough in this game, you break the weapons of said bosses, and you know what that means. Every fight is just baller, dude. It's just baller. It's just baller fight after epic fight after mother. Now, I made sure whenever I mention Elden Ring to never say it was a bad game, because it isn't. I know the internet loves to make everything binary, then if it's not a masterpiece, you must hate it. And if you criticize or joke about something, you must also hate it. You can also find stuff to just be, eh?
Where's the legend I faced before?
Trust me, I don't like the fact that I didn't enjoy Elden Ring, and you have no idea how much I wanted to enjoy that game and how depressing it was that I did not enjoy it.
Shut up, you filthy puppet!
The only thing that was pushing me through the boredom of Elden Ring was the hope of getting my ass beat by Melania, as she seems to be the hardest boss of all time. That is all I ever wanted, though. A boss that would break me.
And who might you be?
Introducing Male Melania. He's the best boss in the game by a country fucking mile. So much that I should do some bullshit thing that you see on the internet that is an S+++++++. But going into this, there was a dilemma at hand.
All this is the work of that damned Arlecchino. We have a history. When he ran rampant as a serial killer long ago, I was the one who put an end to his reign of terror. So during our battle, I did my best to destroy his body. I don't even know if a puppet is capable of holding a grudge like a human. But since he dragged Romeo into this, I will not let it stand.
Leia wants to fight him with you. You start the arena with her as an option to pick up, and unlike the random water fountains that you have before every boss, to help for those that don't want challenge, obviously if you need it, you suck. But this is different. She needs to fight him. This is her story. Thematically, she needs to be here.
Oh, how sweet! Now our guest of honor, Leia Florence, take the stage one more time.
So now we are back to the question I posed at the start of the DLC section. Do I fight alongside Leia and forego the challenge that I crave, as you will beat the Phase 1 without even having to do anything? You should know by now that there was going to be a Phase 2, and you can guess how fast you die in that.
Show me your truest fears.
Okay. If you thought I would use a summon, I ain't no bitch. But of course I struggled against him. His Phase 1, you don't have time to do anything but parry.
Time to exit my stage.
Okay, he's just constantly attacking you, man. Where's the time for me to be able to get my moves in, dude? Now, it can't be that hard. I mean, look, you can see the moves going on. You're like, okay, that's clearly a finishing move for his combo. Look, oh no, I gotta heal. He's reacting. Oh no. You have to basically perfect this fight if you have any chance of getting through Phase 1. You haven't even gotten a hit on this guy, and he's back for more. Look at this. This guy is a mad lad. He reacted again to you healing. You are struggling. And this is just Phase 1, my guy. You will parry so much it will break your weapon, and you don't have time to repair the weapon. I told you, you need to perfect Phase 1. So after 12 attempts, I was finally able to get to Phase 2 on my own. This timer right here is how long each attempt lasted into Phase 2. Just got to Phase 2. Got to Phase 2 and instantly died again. This welcoming combo is the peakest of challenges that no other boss will most likely be able to top for a long time. I no longer care that I never got to fight Melania because we got the gender bent version 2.0 here. And you will die a dozen times before you even get to the actual fight. So welcome to Phase 2. The combos are so long, you will run out of stamina and find out that you need to move while parrying to prevent the delay of stamina regen from starting. I will be honest though, going through Phase 1, well, you can still die, just to then die a dozen more times before Phase 2 really starts was rough, but not for the reason you think. You see, there are many downsides to being a YouTuber. One is trying to make videos that are topical. I never get a chance to do that given the games I cover. I was feeling the pressure to try and rush to get this video out to get more views because it's closer to when the game's relevant. So much so that I did something I regret. I used a summon. Never once have I ever done this other than Nameless King in Dark Souls 3. Sure, I could use the excuse that it's Leia's fight. She needs to be a part of it. Even with her, I died a half a dozen more times, as if you make one mistake in a combo, you will most likely die before the combo even ends. Hey! You know what? I lasted a little bit long, so I could not begin to imagine how hard doing this 1v1 would truly be and how long it would take. I mean, at least I got the cinematic co-op action attack with her as a great participation trophy.
Emotions.
What kind of combo was that? Honestly, I'm glad. This is cool. I'll gladly fight with her if it's a combo like that, man. Seeing her huddled over Romeo's body was cathartic for her, but for me, I felt cheated because I caved to time pressure. I didn't defeat male Melania. I wish I could somehow do the fight over again. So I have a plan. This masochistic series is all about covering challenging melee games and seeing which ones are the hardest, the most creative, which ones have the best bosses, keeping track of the attempts of said bosses, comparing them, and eventually leading to doing a marathon of all the bosses in these games. If enough people follow on Twitch, I would love to do a New Game Plus of Lies of P. If this doesn't happen though, I will most likely never be able to refight male Melania, and I will forever be made fun of, given this whole video was about me craving challenge and saying how much I craved it, and yet I didn't do anything about that. So to close the video out, here is why the video was delayed 2 full extra days and took about 8 hours to do. Thanks for watching.
This is exactly what I've been waiting for! This The alchemists offered me nothing but wooden. But you two, you'll offer me something greater, won't you? Ladies and gentlemen, I, Arlecchino, will analyze the only meaning that matters, the human soul. Come on, let's keep going. You do not fit any parameters of my research. Like you, wow! Why are you different? You do not fit any parameters of my research.
Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. Get fucked, bitch! Dude, it took so long. I don't even know how many hours it took. Holy fuck, dude. Like 100 plus attempts, probably like 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. I don't know how long.